Hi, and this is my first devlog for my upcoming horror game called Only in Whispers. If you're wondering where I get the title and what is the meaning behind that title, well, ang totoo, nag-google lang ako ng title generator and pick something that will fit the idea of a horror game. Anyway, I really appreciate horror games because this type of game is totally against the idea of making a video game. The idea of fun. That is what video game is for, right? However, horror game on the other hand gives you fear. This the same dun sa mga taong mahilig sumakay ng roller coaster or manood ng horror movie. For unknown reason, they like the feeling of fear and anxiety. Now, the AAA market, most of them is full of what we call the competitive multiplayer games. So, if you're looking for a very good horror game to play, you need to rely on the indie scene. And now, here is the problem. Too many of this game has the exact same thing. Like, jump scare every 5 seconds, or maybe may babaeng humahabol sa'yo all night sa isang haunted house. I know this is a dream come true sa ibang tao. And the worst of all is you are walking for almost 30 minutes looking for a key. And then once na nahanap mo na yung susi, this key will lead you to another locked door, and so on. Many of this game has so many potential, but ending up all the same. I'm not hating this walking simulator type of horror game. In fact, I played a lot of them. It's not just my cup of tea, I guess. So, one night, habang ninanamnam ko yung mga regret ko sa buhay, I finally decided to make my dream horror game. Now, the main inspiration of this horror game is Silent Hill, a very old horror game way back the era of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. And by means of inspiration, we are trying to take some notes or to take some elements from this game, but not straight up plagiarizing the game. So, the game will be something like this. An FPS plus survival horror plus a roguelike and some random event which I will explain later on. So, let's start with the story. I'm not giving you so much of the story, but it is something like this. So, you and your best friend na parehas kayong sundalo, then one day, you wake up in a crash site. Everyone is dead except hindi ka sure kung buhay yung best friend mo at wala siya sa mga patay na yon. So instead, what you do is you look for your best friend until you find traces of your friend leading you to an entrance to a weird facilities. Now at this point, usually for a normal human being, ang gagawin mo is hahanap ka na lang ng bagong best friend and call it a day. But again, this is a horror game, and usually like sa mga horror movie, yung protagonist is gagawa ng something really stupid. At this point, papasok ka mag-isa doon sa weird facilities na yon na obviously ikakapahamak mo. And that's how the game start. Ito yung mga features na meron sa game so far, which is maybe in the future, mababawasan sila or madagdagan sila. So, number 1, it has a combat. Yes, you heard it right. You can shoot those conjuring ghosts. It's not just you walk around and you look for a keys. This time, you walk around, you're looking for a keys, and also you're looking for a bullet. I want to give this moral dilemma to the player if you are going to fight or you're going to run. Because most of the enemy in this game can be outrun. In terms of combat design, I didn't want to make the shooting mechanic so complicated like Valorant. Because first of all, this is not a competitive shooting game. It's a single-player horror game. Also, it will be pretty overkill if you are trying to maintain your aiming skill while mini-maintain mo yung tibok ng puso mo sa normal rate. Though I still apply some basic recoil to the gun or a bit challenge. Like if you are moving, your aim might be a little off. Or if you are trying to fire rapidly, then magkakaroon ka ng recoil. Some basic part ng FPS shooter game like reload, sprinting, etc. I also make a melee weapon na very easy to access. The control will be almost similar to Call of Duty. Just one button away and yun na, ma-access mo na kagad yung melee weapon mo. And like other FPS, headshot is your way to go. However, most of the enemies cannot be killed the same way. Now, for the enemy side, unlike sa ibang horror game na usually may isang multo lang or dalawang multo na humahabol sa'yo, in this game, I will be designing 13 monsters. Each of them has a different behavior, a different way to be killed, or some of them actually cannot be killed, which is if introduce ko sila sa aking mga future devlogs. For now, I have 3 enemy na nasa game na ngayon. One is cured, or we can call him the Subject 49-2. That looks like a zombie and always wanted your attention. Also, this will be the common enemy in this game. Very easy to kill, but bit annoying. The second enemy we got is the Subject 049 or the SCP-049. Yes, we got the SCP-049. The SCP-049 can reanimate corpse, and those corpse will be called the 049-2. And yes, that is the cured or the zombie-like enemy. Subject 49, however, unlike do sa nauna nating kalaban, cannot be killed. All you have to do is to run dahil meron siyang time limit. Like 20 seconds lang siya mag-exist doon sa area and then maglalaho siya. Also, avoid looking directly at him. The third enemy we got is what we called the Wisdom. Basically, it's just a chair with a lamp. It doesn't do anything. It cannot hurt you and also hindi mo siya pwedeng mapatay. All it do is share you the wisdom of life. Baka kasi kailangan mo nun. Now, only 10 enemy remaining, but I might add more, like adding my X in the future. We don't know. The design might change also, which I will give you the update on my future blog. Again, I'm a big fan of Silent Hill. For me, Silent Hill is the best horror game ever made. The best thing about Silent Hill is the horror of the unknown. It is the game that doesn't rely on the jump scare. There's probably some jump scare, but usually it's rare or totally in an unusual way. The environment itself gives you this constant fear. The sound gives you this anxiety. The quality of Silent Hill is what I am trying to achieve. Considering the art style of the game, it's a little bit cartoonish. You see, it's very easy to implement horror in a realistic graphics. But how can you apply horror to a cartoonish looking art? So that is one of the challenge here. So I guess the approach of Silent Hill is the best way to go. Now, the third feature of this game, which is I'm so excited because this is the first time I'm doing this. This is the roguelike element. For those who don't know what is roguelike, it is a subgenre na pinasikat ng mga RPG dungeon crawling game. The idea is the game would have a random generated level and permanent death for the character. So this game will be having the RPG element also, like inventory or item management, but totally very minimal since that is not the focus of this game, because the main focus of this game is the random event and the random level. All the room or the areas will be predefined, but anything inside each area or room will be randomized in a smart way, like the enemy respawn, item, locked door, game events, or even the bosses. The fifth feature of this game, and probably the highlight of this game, is what we call the psychological profiling. The idea here, it is not just the level, the enemy, or the event will be randomized or generated randomly. The room placement, the enemy, the event will be based on the player behavior. The first stage might be totally randomized, but as you play through, there's an AI behind that we're gonna call him Abba. So Abba will observe every action you do, even that simple way you look at a painting or a religious object. Every action you make, the AI will going to use it against you. Example, let's say you are like Tense or a Radiant player in Valorant with 90% headshot. Probably killing the enemy might be easy for you, but no. The game will adjust. It might respawn smarter enemies like enemy that avoid headshot or It might throw you enemies that totally cannot be killed, like the Subject 049. Let's say you're doing good in an open area, then Aba will give you a claustrophobic corridor, or let's say you're avoiding a specific enemy or places, then Aba might work something else for you. The idea here is you are not fighting the monster in the game. You are fighting against yourself. Now, in terms of map design, a horror game in most case scenario, it's either the setup was on asylum, hospital, church, abandoned bunker, or haunted house. The common setup. In this game, the area is something you totally don't understand. First of all, it's randomized, of course. You don't know if it is a bunker, World War II concentration camp. Is this on the modern world? I'm not following any real-world setup. Because of this, I am free to do whatever I want to give the player the best horror experience. Also, we humans, we always fear what we don't understand. So I guess this approach will be good. Also, the best part of that is if there's a bug in the level design, you won't notice and probably you might think that is part of the design and not a bug. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that devlog. There's still might changes like additions feature or whatsoever. I'll just update you through my page or my next devlog. So again, thank you for watching. See you again in my future video. And here is the sample gameplay. Goodbye.